Hello, welcome everyone to the Spotlight here on Fightful.com. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by Stephen Jensen. Jensen, are you hurt? Are you injured? Is everything okay? Are all your parts working correctly?
I'm okay, but I'm going to mute myself because I feel like I'm about to sneeze. And now I'm not going to sneeze.
Jensen has the sniffles. He's going on IR with the sniffles. He's going to be out 2 to 3 months.
There we go.
With the sneezing sniffles for Stephen Jensen.
No.
Everybody's getting injured, Jensen. Everybody's hurt.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It is crazy. Like, not only are people getting hurt right now, it's like the champions of like all these companies are getting hurt, which is crazy.
If I get injured, since I carry this whole company, I carry this whole website on my back. I do have lower back pain. I don't know what that's from, but I assume it is from carrying this company, carrying this website. So when I have to go get back surgery for carrying Fightful, hopefully Jimmy Van will pay for it. And all the top guys are getting hurt. So I assume I will be on the IR pretty soon. We got to turn down injury sliders. We gotta just ban injury. We gotta turn them off. Too many injuries in the world of pro wrestling. And like you said, it's all the top guys. CM Punk, AEW champion, Cody Rhodes, who is pretty much the face of WWE at this point, especially with Roman not working too much. Matt Cardona, who NWA World Heavyweight Champion, also kind of the face of the independents right now. Danielson's a little banged up, but it sounds like he's going to work. Kenny Omega is still out. Kind of just forgot about him, but he's still out. Everybody's injured. Stephen Jensen?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You just went through the list. That's pretty much what I was saying when, like, you know, all these top guys are out right now. But wrestling's in a pretty good space when, like a company like AEW, for instance, like they lose their champion, but like the show's not going to really get any worse. It's kind of crazy, like how stacked some of these shows are, some of these rosters are. WWE is a different story. Like we'll talk about that with Cody because like they kind of built the whole thing on Cody now, especially with Roman taking less dates. And I mean, the only reason Cody, I should say the only reason, because I'm sure he wanted to do it, but like that Hell in a Cell match, like he's the poster, he's the main event, he's the Hell in a Cell match. Like he kind of has to do the match, and it's a lot of it has to do with the fact they don't have anyone else that they can rely on in that spot right now. Like that, it's Roman, and then it's Cody, and then there's the women. You know, like the women killed it. I thought the opening triple threat was a really, really, really damn good match. But like, you know what I mean? Though it's one of those things like star power wise, someone like Cody goes out and Roman's not on the show, and it's like Cody's just got to go out there and get it done. You know, it's like AEW. If this happens, that wrestler can just take time off and they just plug in someone else because they're pushing more than one, you know, just one person at a time.
Let's start with Cody Rhodes. There were reports on, I guess it was Sunday afternoon, that he was injured. He tore his pec. Was the word going around? I'm pretty sure is how it was phrased. And then during the pre-show, it was confirmed that he tore his pec. WWE is framing this as, and I don't know if this is the truth or not, and if it is, Cody Rhodes is a lunatic. They're framing it as he got injured and it was a partially torn pec from the brawl that he did with Rollins on Monday, right? Mm-hmm. And then they said he decided to work out, and that's when it just fully ripped off the bone. So what they're trying to tell me is it was partially torn on Monday, and this man said, I have a partially torn pec. Instead of resting, letting it heal, icing it up, son, I'm just going to lift a bunch of weights. I'm going to try to bench press 400 pounds or whatever. I'm going to do my curls and my dips and whatever these weight trainers do. I don't have muscles. I don't know. But that's what he decided to do with a partially torn pec. And of course it ripped off the bone. You lunatic Cody Rhodes. So that is how they are framing it, as he's a crazy person. He's kind of an idiot if this is true. Just like rest, dude. Rest up. All right. You don't need to do a bunch of weight training. Ripped off the bone. They confirmed the injury. They said he's still going to work. So he comes out. He's got his jacket on. You can tell he's not moving his right arm too much. He gets in the ring. He takes his jacket off, and his whole right side just bruised all to shit. And this is what happens when you have a torn pec. Triple H posted a photo after he tore his pec after Crown Jewel. And like, this is what it looks like. It's not makeup or anything like that. So it's all gone to hell, his right side. He works through the match and of course gets attacked. It's not something you could just ignore. And again, this lunatic, Cody Rhodes, is doing all these bumps on his right side. He's taking kendo stick shots, just like he's doing all this stuff, just banging himself up even more. And maybe it is one of those things where it's like, it can't get any worse. It's a torn pec. So it's like, go out there, do what you need to do. You can't make this injury worse. And I assume that's what the case is, but he still wrestled. He not only wrestled, he won. I thought this would have been an easy out of, hey, Seth Rollins wins. Cody Rhodes he had a torn pec. You can give Seth Rollins the big capper here. Cody has the excuse of the injury of why he lost and everything. Cody's going to miss some time. He comes back stronger. Nope. Cody still won. They're all in on the Cody Rhodes train here. They're all in on the Cody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that for sure. I thought it was interesting too throughout the kickoff show, which by the way, that kickoff panel is like, it made me less excited for the show. Like they somehow
I don't watch that shit.
It's bad. It's bad. Like with like Jerry Lawler and Booker T and Rosenberg and those guys, like it just isn't a good kickoff show. Kickoff panel, I should say. But I remember while I was watching that, and then throughout the show, it was weird because they all had this statement they had to read like verbatim about Cody's injury. So you just heard the same thing like 10 different times where someone would be like, Cody was initially injured during the brawl with Seth Rollins on Raw, and then he went to weight train, and while weight training, he tore his pectoral right off the bone. But because of the man that Cody Rhodes is, he's going to compete in the main event. Like it was like the same exact canned statement from multiple commentators throughout the night, and I was like, this sounded very strange, just hearing someone read the same thing over and over and over again, and different people reading the same thing over and over and over, and no one could just give like an honest opinion on like how they felt about it or put their own words to it. It was just this one canned statement that everyone just kept reading all night. But then the match itself, I thought was awesome. That was one of the best WWE matches I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And, and for Cody to go out there and do what he did, it's like you said, I mean, they're all in on Cody and they didn't want to change course based on the injury, which I'm fine with, obviously. I mean, because I want them to inevitably and eventually have Cody be the guy to beat Roman, but obviously he's going to need some time off now. And I think that's why on Monday they had Rollins do the whole kendo stick thing, like the kind of adding insult to injury, because Cody's going to have to take time off either way at this point to heal that tear. So I feel like they figured, well, Rollins lost the feud. He lost all 3 matches, but we can still keep him in like a main event level spot and still keep the heat on him if he's kind of the reason that Cody. It's one of those things where the fan base didn't need to see that because we know Cody's injured, obviously. But for the sake of Rollins not coming out as like a complete loser on the other end of this feud, he at least got some sort of one-up on Cody on the way out of the feud. And I don't think that they're going to continue it, by the way. I hope they don't. I think at some point down the line, maybe like by like WrestleMania next year or something, we see Cody and Seth going back at it. But I think this was just a way for Seth to like just get some sort of W over Cody before Cody had to take time off. But I think there's a lot of people, myself included, that are concerned that like when Cody comes back, is it just going to be another Seth Rollins match? I feel like the answer to that is no. I think this was mainly done just to keep like some heat on Seth, like before Cody had to leave. So we got something out of it.
Cody, the way he's talking, he's going to be back for Money in the Bank. He had the briefcases were up there. He's like, I know, I'll see you in 4 weeks. This man's going to come out there and do a ladder match in 4 weeks. He had surgery today, I believe. It was either yesterday or today. I think WWE said it was today, but Sean Ross reported that, or WWE said it was Wednesday. Sean Ross reported that it was Thursday. I'm going to trust Sean over WWE. But Cody sounds like he's just going to be back in 4 weeks and still do this Money in the Bank match. He's a crazy person. I don't know what he's thinking. Somebody might need to save him from himself, but he wants to go out there and give it all. It doesn't seem like Roman is going to be working on Money in the Bank now, so they need something for this show. Cody was a big part of the advertisement. I know they think Money in the Bank is like a draw, but clearly by the fact that they couldn't sell out Allegiant Stadium, they couldn't even come close to selling out Allegiant Stadium, and they had to move venues for this show to a smaller venue. Kind of shows that like Money in the Bank, this name alone ain't a draw like it's WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble or even like SummerSlam. It's not. Like you need some actual talent on this thing, and they don't. Like they doesn't seem like they're gonna have Roman. doesn't seem like Cody is crazy enough where they might have him, but I wouldn't expect him if I'm fans. I wouldn't go in thinking like, oh, Cody's definitely going to be on this show no matter what he says. But it sounds like he wants to do it regardless. And I think he could. JJ says, pull Brock Lesnar. And like, I think that could be a way to do it. But I don't think Cody wants to do that. I don't think Cody wants to come in last minute to win this briefcase. I think he wants to go in there, take some stupid bumps, fall off the ladder onto the outside, through a table, through barbed wire, through fire, whatever. I think that's what Cody wants to do in this match. Whether or not he gets a chance to do it, I don't know. But if he says he can do it, Vince probably like, sure, whatever, pal. We need something here. And that's going to be that. But Cody, absolute lunatic for all of this. And Seth, yeah, it keeps some heat on him for the Cody thing. I don't think they're going to go back to it immediately. I suspect they'll get back to it at some point, but I don't know why. He's beat this man 3 times. Move on. Be done with it.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. And, I think as much as WWE needed Cody to do this, because I think WWE needed Cody way more than Cody needed WWE as far as like when it came to the money, the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Like if Cody would have been like, hey, I need the night off, Vince, I think, would have been like, what are we going to do? Like, you're the poster. You're the Hell in a Cell match against, it's the name of the pay-per-view. Like, we have no Roman. Like, but I think Cody has this mindset of, like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and push he's getting right now. And I don't think he wants to give the company any reason to believe that he isn't the right guy to carry the company on his back. Because when you look at it, you look at a guy like John Cena, for instance, who had a torn pec and was back in like 3 or 4 months. I remember that huge return at Royal Rumble, and everyone was like, "What? How is he back so soon?" And I think that's kind of what Cody wants, is like he wants to be their John Cena for the next handful of years. Like he wants to put the company on his back. He wants to be the top babyface in wrestling, and so I think he has this mindset of like, I'm not letting anything get in my way of that. Like whether it's an injury or what, like I'm going to wrestle injured if I have to. Like I know where this is heading, and I don't want to give them any reason to change their mind. And I think that probably scored huge points with Vince as well, Cody going out there and doing that match. And I've heard multiple professional athletes, like NFL players and stuff, talking about Cody's performance at Hell in a Cell. I heard McAfee talking about it as well. And it's the credit and the props that these athletes are giving Cody it's really cool to see, because there's guys like AJ Hawk who had that same injury that have talked about. They're like, how the hell did he even wrestle with that? They're like we've had NFL players that have had torn pecs talking about it and being like, this is unreal to watch footage of this man wrestling with this, because like it's like when I had this and I played football, like I was out for the season, like I couldn't even move my arm. Like, how is this man doing this? And granted, I'm sure they shoot him up with some stuff, and like the adrenaline gets to you.
That man was on. He doesn't remember what happened. That man was on so many drugs, and I think McAfee said like you don't want to shoot him up too much. But zombie Cody Rhodes was out there in a comatose state. He didn't feel anything. I hope he took a bunch of. I know McAfee wasn't there. I hope McAfee left him a bunch of edibles there and stuff. He just popped a bunch of those things in there. Didn't feel anything, because like if he felt something, that shit had to hurt. I really can't imagine what he was going through. So hopefully they shot him up with some good stuff. He took some good stuff, and he just coasted through. He was floating through the night.
I think it's also kind of one of those like scenarios where like a mom picks up a car to save like her kid underneath the car or something type scenario. Just like, it's just one of those like unexplainable, just like feats of heroism that Cody displayed at Hell in a Cell.
He's got the kid now. He's got little Liberty, who's going to be the president of the United States what do you got to be, like 35 or something? I don't know how old you have to be. She's going to be the president of the United States in the coming decades, everything. Kids will make you do some crazy things. Okay, when you have that kid and you're fighting for the kid, Cody's probably like, look, I got to do this right. Yeah, I think Brandy even said that, like, he went out there, and now if my daughter is like, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm going to show her this is what your dad did at WWE Hell in a Cell. You can do whatever the hell you want. All right. If your dad can go out there with a torn pec wrestling like that, you can do anything you want to do. So kids will make you do some dumb shit. Kids and
Yeah.
edibles. You can do anything. You can do anything in the world, everybody. That's all you need in life.
Oh.
Kids and edibles.
Oh my God. I was going to say we should put that on a t-shirt, but that's going to send a real weird message to a lot of people, I think. But that's funny. Kids and edibles will make you make some crazy decisions.
Yeah.
Or make some crazy choices. You want to help your kids, so you're going to do anything you can for your kids. Edibles is just YOLO life. Like you just don't know what's going to happen. But Joel, says he would recently jumped off a bridge for his kid. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have children. I know you got some kids now, Jeremy, and I know that Joel does. There's a lot of people in the chat that do SP3. I see all y'all in here. I don't, but it's one of those things where like that's a big reason why I don't have children, at least right now, is because I know the moment I have kids, I'm no longer the most important person in my own life, and I'm a little too selfish and too immature, I think, to take on that responsibility at this point in my life. And when I become a parent, I want to be in a position where like my kid, like that's my whole thing is like, I think to be a good parent, you always have to put your kids first. And that's why I think so many of y'all are great parents, and I think that this is very true. I think it's the same kind of thing with Cody, where not only with the Hell in a Cell match, but probably a big motivation for him going back to the WWE. They probably offered him a ton of money, a ton of creative freedom, and he's going to be able to show his kid, like, I was the top wrestler in all of wrestling around the time you were born. I mean, like, there's a lot of cool stuff that Cody gets to accomplish now and show his daughter. So anyway, yeah, I can't imagine. I should say I can't personally imagine because I haven't been through it, but I understand the concept of like once you have kids that like priorities change and you got to do what you think is going to be best for them. And I think that Cody's doing that right now.
Cody Rhodes is a crazy person. I don't know. I mean, bless him for doing that match as it was, because he probably shouldn't have done it. He probably did feel he needed to. You make a good point of like he felt he needed to because he wants to carry the company like a John Cena, who's coming back, by the way. Can't wait. My guy, the GOAT, John Cena, coming back at the end of the month. Unfortunately, it's probably going to lead to a match with Theory, which is no fun, but what can you do? At least he's coming back. But yeah, he probably feels he needed to do it because he's the face of the company right now. He doesn't want to let anybody down, and bless him for it. Bless him. He's a crazy person, and hopefully it doesn't shorten his career or make things worse or anything like that. And hopefully he is rewarded through all this, because there is a very real chance of Vince just being like, hey, cool, thanks. And then in 3 months, forgetting that any of this ever happened and moving on to something else or something different. So I hope that this act by Cody Rhodes is not forgotten by those really across the board in WWE, and people realize like this is a lead by example moment for Cody, and people are like, oh shit, if Cody did this, maybe I can do a little bit more too.
Yeah, well, and not only just I hope Vince doesn't forget, of course. I hope the fan base doesn't either, because all you AEW fans, and I'm one of them, except I wasn't with y'all on this.
Call out the AEW marks, Stephen Jensen.
I will. This is deserved. Okay, I say it all the time, and I'm fine that people know I'm biased. AEW, I think, is the best pro wrestling company in the world. I love it. I watch every Dynamite live. I have FOMO when I miss AEW. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like I need to watch everything live. I love the company. I love the roster. I really like what Tony Khan's done. I like that there's a smart mark running the company who has $1 billion. Like I love AEW, but all you fans out there, all you people, y'all booed Cody out of his own company because you couldn't accept him as a babyface, and now he's the biggest babyface in the industry in the other company, and they seem to be loving it. You know what I mean? Like, why did y'all have to do this to this man? I hate that this has happened, because this should have been Cody in AEW doing this. Like, now WWE gets it. AEW should have had it, and that's on y'all. You know, I think that part of it is Cody like really wanting to go back to the WWE. I think he has multiple prerogatives and reasons to want to go back to the WWE. It isn't just the fan base, but I guarantee you that was a part of the decision-making process of him being like, why would I stay? Like, all these people are booing me. I'm not doing anything to get booed, or at least in his own mind, he's not doing anything to get booed. And he wants to be a babyface, and WWE is letting him have his AEW babyface push, but in the WWE, and it's working tremendously. And he's clearly the successor to Roman Reigns. He's clearly going to be like their John Cena for the next handful of years because Cody's still only like 35 or 36. Like AEW had it. It was right there. It was for the fan base and y'all. I mean, granted, they booked themselves into a corner with like Cody not being able to win the AEW World Title, and there was multiple factors in this. But once again, I just got to call it the fan base. I'm one of y'all. I love y'all. I love AEW. I love the AEW fans. But like the way y'all turned on Cody, look what he's doing over there. Like you can't tell me y'all don't feel like you messed up. I'm sorry.
Call out the fans. Call out that, these are MJF words, not mine. Call out that fucking Mark Tony Khan didn't realize what was in front of him with Cody Rhodes, wanted to pay Bryan Danielson, wanted to pay CM Punk, wanted to pay Keith Lee and Swerve Scott and
Mark Henry and Big Show.
Buddy Matthews and Christian and Mark Henry and Big Show, wanted to pay all these guys while Cody Rhodes, who built that company on his blood, sweat, tears, and fire, they kicked him to the curb. They didn't let him do what he wanted to do. The AEW Mark fans, the AEW Mark owner just forgot what Cody Rhodes did for that company, what he did at All In when he took the bet from Dave Meltzer. He took the bet, and if he doesn't take that bet, AEW doesn't even happen. And they were just like, oh, sorry, Cody, get out of here. This new ex-WWE person just got released. We're going to pay him more than you. All right, Cody, sorry, buddy. They forgot where they came from, AEW. The Marks, fire me, Tony Khan. I'm begging you.
Yeah, well, Ashra says it in the chat. I can't pull the comments up because I'm not logged in right now, but that's one of my biggest, just like that right there. That pisses me off so much that Cody versus Sting was right there, and they figured they had all the time in the world to do it, and now Cody's not there anymore. And I'm feeling the same way with, I'm not going to go into the whole MJF thing because that's a whole other, it's a whole other topic, that would take an entire, we've talked about MJF a lot on here, but the MJF situation reminds me a lot of the Cody Rhodes situation in certain ways, because I was not convinced Cody was actually going back to the WWE until he showed up at WrestleMania. Like no matter all the reports that were out there and everything, I didn't believe it until I saw it actually happen. With MJF, I feel like this is a really, really, really well done work, and the fans have bit. And I think this is like one of the most interesting kind of Brian Pillman loose cannon type scenarios that like we could possibly get in 2022. But the problem is, I thought that was what was going on with Cody too, and then Cody actually did just bail and go to the WWE. So like now I'm thinking like that's what has me so concerned about MJF. Is like part of me is like, is this all big work because it's a Mark wrestling owner and a lifelong wrestling fan, and they want to do something that like really blurs the lines, and it's the right kind of character to do it, being MJF, how he sticks to kayfabe and all this stuff, and is this just like the best work we've seen in a long time? Or is MJF like really just trying to get out and go to the WWE like Cody did? Like I really don't know. So yeah, well, once again, I want to stress, I can't stress this enough. I think Cody's performance in Hell in a Cell was absolutely incredible. It's something we should be talking about for a long time going forward. And I also want to give credit to Seth Rollins, because this wasn't all a one-way road. Rollins had to work his ass off as well. Rollins is a world-class performer. He has been his entire career, back from the Tyler Black days all the way through now. He's always been a great in-ring worker. I can or the fan base, I should say, can sometimes view him as like a WWE shill and this or that. And it's like, I really don't care at the end of the day, because the guy goes out there and he performs. And I thought that he deserves a lot of credit for the match with Cody as well. I think they both deserve all the credit in the world for pulling off something. They could have had so many shortcuts for that. Cody's arm's injured. They were in a Hell in a Cell. They could have had people run in there. They could have had them use the cell. They could have done a whole lot of shortcuts and stuff. Instead, like they went out there, they had a badass match that I think the fans really need to respect Cody and Rollins both for that performance.
I'm not sure Seth Rollins has won on pay-per-view this year. I'm actually pretty sure premium live event. Sorry. I'm actually pretty sure he hasn't. But his performances in every single premium live event have been great. Like his character work, the fiance loves him, loves the laugh and everything, the cackle that he has. He's been a good performer this year. Like, credit to the man. It'd be nice if he could pick up a win or two, but as far as performance goes, on the mic as a character and in the ring on the premium live events, he's been great. So he's going to have to carry this company right now, because Roman, and unfortunately, they booked him very strong when it comes to wins and losses. But Roman's gone for the time being. Randy's out right now. Cody is going to be out. Rollins is going to have to be the guy for them, and they got to book him a little bit stronger because they ain't got much else beyond him. What they're trying to do is going to go into my spotlight. Stephen Jensen, I would like an apology. I would like a celebration from everybody. Everybody celebrate that. I've been saying for years, at least a year, I've been calling Edge's return. I've been calling him a little bitch. I've been saying this return ain't working. It ain't doing anything. I think this is actually 2020. When did he return? He returned in 2020, right? Pandemic.
Yeah,
pandemic
right. But like right as the pandemic was starting, pretty much at that Royal Rumble. Yeah,
he's been a little bitch. It hasn't done anything. And then what happened? He gets his little group. He gets the Judgment Day. You gotta have the in there. And I don't want Sean Ross Sapp getting misreported here, like is what's been happening. So on Monday, the Judgment Day, they kicked Edge out of the group, and Finn Balor is now the new leader with Priest and Rhea Ripley. And Sean Ross Sapp reports, we're told that WWE had mentioned taking Judgment Day as a supernatural route, which Edge was said to have been opposed to. Probably smart, honestly. Word started to emerge in the afternoon, hours ahead of Raw. That big shift involving Finn Balor and Edge was set to happen. Although that was firmly set on Monday, the pitch to have Balor as a member of Judgment Day came well before that. Sources indicated that the week prior that Balor was set to turn heel and join the group before Hell in a Cell. There's no mention of Edge leaving the group at this point. It's not known if Sean Ross Sapp don't misreport him here, everybody. It isn't known if Edge being like, yeah, I'm doing this supernatural shit, is that led to him being kicked out. I don't know. I don't know where Judgment Day goes. I'm lying if I say if they're going this supernatural stuff, I'm going to care too much. I think Finn Balor is more interesting as the leader than Edge because Edge was doing nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. And then with Balor, at least there's something there. I like Finn Balor as a heel, him leading a group. That's worked before. But if they're doing spooky shooting, if they're wizards, I don't care about any of that. What the real point here is that I've said Edge's return was a bust. I've said he's been a little bitch. I am right. What has this man accomplished since returning? Name me one good thing Edge has done since returning. He did this group and it got taken away within 2 months. Somebody tell me what Edge did well in his return.
He won the Royal Rumble from number 1, didn't he? A couple years ago.
Oh, yeah. I think they made him number 1, even though he was originally supposed to be number 2 because they wanted him to win as number 1. Cool. He won a Royal Rumble in front of a bunch of LED screens. Congratulations, buddy.
Sure. Well, I just want to throw that out there because, like, that's really all I could think of. That was like really. I mean, he's had a couple good matches since he's been back. I'll give him credit. It was a Rollins match he had that was really good, wasn't it? Like with the Hell in a Cell.
That's all Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is proof. He got a stupid haircut. That haircut sucks.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like he got this haircut. He got new theme music, a new Titantron video.
He did the Gangrel entrance. Everybody loved that. He played off the past so we could do the Gangrel entrance. Cool. He used the nostalgia pop. Great.
Yeah, that was actually pretty badass. So I'll give them credit. Like the Gangrel entrance, the first time that he did that in like a long ass time was pretty cool. So yeah, Joel saying Edge and Rollins in the Saudi cell, like that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Seth Rollins had a good Seth Rollins had a good Hell in a Cell match against a man with one tit. So I'm not surprised he had a good Hell in a Cell match with Edge.
True. Okay, I'm not disputing this. I'm just saying, like, I understand your point. Out of the last,
all Edge praise.
But so this is baffling, right? So I only watch WWE pay-per-view or premium live events. That's pretty well known. I talk about that all the time. And that's why I think WWE has been a lot more enjoyable for me recently, is because I just watch it once a month and they catch me up with the video packages. And unless it's something we're going to talk about on this show, like I'll go out of my way to watch something that we want to talk about for the spotlight. But outside of that, I'm not sitting through a 3-hour Raw and a 2-hour SmackDown every week and all that stuff. But because when I was watching the pay-per-view, I was like, I really enjoyed the show for the most part. I really did. I thought the matches were good. The stories were good for the most part. But when I was watching the Judgment Day match obviously I notice, okay, Edge pins Finn Balor to win that match for their team. And then on Raw on Monday, I made sure to go out of my way to watch this. So I knew what I was talking about here, of course. But so when I don't understand how there's any logical reasoning in the idea of Edge being the leader of the group. He pins Finn Balor to win for the team. He's done pretty much nothing but win since Judgment Day has been around. He won the AJ feud. He just won the previous night. He got the pinfall. And for some reason, the story is Edge just isn't getting it done for us. So we want the guy who he pinned to be our leader now. It's what? Doesn't make any logical sense. The real reason most likely is what we were just saying. What Sean's reporting is Cody's out. They're scrambling for any sort of baby face that the fans recognize. And they probably needed to turn Edge babyface just immediately. And I think for the main event on Monday too, Judgment Day came out with Edge's music and Edge's Titantron and stuff, because they probably made this decision to change Judgment Day right before the show happened or during the show. I mean, it was clearly a very last minute thing to do. Now, as far as Balor being a part of the group, I don't have an issue with that, and I think they're going to continue to add members, I'd imagine. But the logical thinking behind it just doesn't. Now once again, I say this all the time.
The logic is Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are losers, and so they want to be associated with a loser like Finn Balor. Edge was winning too much for them. Priest was losing a bunch, and then he joined Edge, and then Rhea Ripley was losing a bunch, and then she joined, and then Edge won. He's wait a second, this guy's actually winning matches. We can't have that. Everybody's just a big old loser on Raw. So it's Balor lost, and they're all right, losers unite. Let's do some magic, everybody.
It's like that South Park episode, The Losing Edge, where they all are playing baseball. Yeah, they're trying to not have to play baseball all summer, so they're trying to lose. But Leases. But but all the other teams are trying to lose too, because none of the other teams they don't want to play all summer either. So it's just a big tournament of people trying to lose and just play worse so that they don't have to keep playing. That kind of reminds me of what
wants to really wrestle. They just want to lose. I know Ripley won in the main event, JJ, but she was losing a bunch before that, before she joined with Edge. Again, they all these losers, they were winning with Edge. They can't have that. So now they got to lose a bunch again.
Right.
Magic and shit. I can't wait to see what this supernatural stuff goes. I hope Finn Balor is throwing stuff into witch pots and stuff. They're casting spells on everybody. Great. Give me the dumbest shit possible with this group.
Yeah, well, we could see. I have no idea what they're planning on doing with this, but I will say this, and I say this a lot, kind of as a blanket statement about a lot of the WWE creative, and I just got to keep it consistent here. If I was 6, which is a lot of their fan base, I wouldn't even be questioning it. You know what I mean? I think that's their mindset. It's just our fan base is so young and so just so in love with our product that we can just do stuff and it doesn't have to make sense. And if a bunch of 30-year-old wrestling fans like me and you don't understand it, they just don't care because we're not really their target audience anyways. Except for Cody. Cody is their key to our demo, 100%. They're letting us know when he's gonna be on the show. Hey, if you're 18 to 49, come watch Cody. We know he's your guy. But everyone else, it's just not going to make sense because it's for 6-year-olds. So that's Judgment Day.
Stephen Jensen says WWE only appeals to idiotic 6-year-olds.
I didn't call them idiotic. I just said that they're
You
6.
did. You said if I was 6, I probably wouldn't understand it, and it doesn't matter. You're calling these 6-year-olds idiots who don't question any of it.
It's because when I was 6, I was watching the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan and Dungeon of Doom trying to destroy Hulkamania.
Yeah,
that was one of the worst storylines ever. But when we were 6, it ruled. You know what I mean? That's my whole point. Is it ruled. When I started watching wrestling, I thought that Kevin Sullivan was the biggest heel in wrestling history. I didn't know any different. I didn't know how big of a deal Ric Flair was back in the day or any of this kind of stuff, or Roddy Piper in the WWF before I was watching. so for me, it was Kevin Sullivan, and like I was all in on like Ming and the Barbarian, and when the Giant debuted and all that stuff. So when Hulk Hogan was trying to find the Dungeon of Doom and he touches the water, he's like, "Oh, it's not hot," like all that. I remember all of these things and remember thinking they were good because I was probably 1994 and I was born in 88, so I was literally probably like 6 years old watching this stuff. So that's why I give some leeway and some sympathy to like the WWE creative and what they're doing. Because like, if you're that age, you're not watching it being like, wait a second, Edge pinned Balor and all of them are losing, but they're complaining about. They're just sitting there going, Balor's a bad guy now. Balor's with Judgment Day, and then like they just tune in the next Monday. They're not gonna like question it beyond that probably. So
let me tell you, these 6-year-olds, they don't have the attention span for this stuff. Okay. They don't care at all about this. You're right. These idiotic 6-year-olds, you can just do a bunch of turns and twists and turns. I watch these cartoon shows. These cartoon shows don't make any sense. We got young kids. They watch there's. You ever watch Steven Universe? Anybody in the chat who watch Steven? None of these shows make sense. They don't. They don't care. They just see their flashing lights and powers and whatnot. Doc McStuffins, she's fixing up like toys. There's no logic to any of these shows. Peppa Pig's the dumbest show in the world, and yet these little kids, they enjoy the shit out of it. They have no sense of what's going on. Like, cool British accents, we love it. She's a pig, her dad, everybody's mean to each other on this show. None of these shows make any sense, but you're right, the idiotic 6-year-olds, they love it, so it works. Yeah, so the fiance. Yeah. All right, she can either hear me, she's watching the show. I don't know. I'm gonna let the little kid watch wrestling, and I'm gonna have her. Slacker says Doc McStuffins has no degree. Exactly. How's she just got a medical license to fix up toys? What school did she go to?
I've never heard of this, but like this. That's funny. A doctor for toys. Okay.
Yes. Doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna see if I can let the little one watch some wrestling, and I'll have her take notes, and I'll read the notes next week. She's not gonna let her appear on air, even though our ratings would go sky high. Is the cutest little kid in the world. But I'm gonna see if she's gonna take notes and see if we can read the notes on air. Let her watch some wrestling, and we will get notes from an idiotic child. She's not an idiot, but Stephen Jensen's words: idiotic children.
No, okay, yeah, right, yeah. But it's funny because like you mentioned all this current day stuff, like Doc McStuffins, and what was the other one? Steve something. What was the other show that Steven Universe? But it's like when we were growing up, like we had Power Rangers, and like Power Rangers was incredible, right? Like it was huge. I still collect Power Rangers stuff to this day, like Mighty Morphin only, because But my point is, if I try to watch Power Rangers now, it's terrible. I'm like, this is like so cheesy and corny and just nonstop. But it's like, it's just hitting the sensors in a little kid's head over and over and over again. It's the fighting and the colors and the transforming and the action and the explosions. And it just has a kid's attention from start to finish. But it really isn't very good when you're an adult and you try to go back and watch it. That's kind of the same kind of concept, right? It's like, I think the WWE wants to put on a product that kids can just watch and just zone out and just not question it, just enjoy it. And I have no problem with that. It's just for me as a wrestling fan, especially one that analyzes wrestling to some degree here on Fightful and stuff. It's like, I have to give you my opinion on it as a 34-year-old man, but like, so I think it's corny, but like, once again, that's why I never really bashed the WWE. It might not be for me, but like, if a 6-year-old kid saw this Judgment Day stuff, they might really like it. And I can't like,
we're going to find out. We're going to find out. Next week, we're going to see who's correct. If Stephen Jensen is right, and if all 6-year-olds are idiots, or what I think that some of them are smart. And we're going to prove this correct next week. When we have I'm going to have her watch Judgment Day clips and be like, what do you think of this? And I'm going to get her opinion on it. And she's going to prove that 6-year-olds understand this stuff and WWE should do better. Okay? That's what we're doing next week.
I love it. All right, let's move on. What's the next topic?
CM Punk's injured. More injuries. CM Punk's hurt. They're doing an interim title. It's going to be Jon Moxley against Hiroki Goto at AEW New Japan.
Wonder who's winning that one. Yeah.
For the interim title at Forbidden Door. This sucks for CM Punk. It's great that like they're going to let him keep the title and they'll just move on and they'll do a big unification match down the line. But it's very unfortunate that that CM Punk is injured and now can't go on this world title run. Maybe he should cut the stage dive off because apparently that's where he hurt himself. I know he also he came up lame when he tried the springboard clothesline in the 6-man tag match. So that, and he slipped off the rope. So that didn't look good either, but very unfortunate for CM Punk to be injured and this falling apart. And, they're doing the interim title. They're trying to make the best of it. I'm not the biggest fan of interim titles, but I know Tony Khan does not want, he doesn't like vacating titles. He likes to go the UFC route with this, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, which I don't really have a problem with as long as Punk's going to be it depends on how long Punk's out, right? Like if he was going to be out for just a few weeks, then I wouldn't want an interim title. But if he's going to be back in 3-4 months, something like that, then I think the I can't say interim title makes sense. But if he was going to be out for a year, then I would just have him vacate. You know what I mean? I think it just depends on how soon he'll be back. And I think the expectation is to unify the titles sooner than later. Whenever Punk gets back, his first big match, I'm sure, will be against whoever the interim champion is. So this is really just a way of establishing a number one contender, even though they do have a ranking system to do that. But I don't mind the idea of an interim title for this particular scenario. And it is cool having the involvement of the New Japan guys with this too. But like you said, I mean, it's clearly Tanahashi's going to beat Goto. I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense for nothing against Goto. It's Tanahashi, and
Goto is the ultimate loser. Goto's the ultimate loser in New Japan. This is what he does. He loses matches.
Yeah, especially to the tippy top level guys. And so I personally, I know that Dominion's coming up. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but I personally wish this was Tanahashi versus Okada, or Tanahashi versus Jay White, or Tanahashi versus Naito, or something like that, where there was more, it was less predictable, because clearly they've been wanting to do Tanahashi versus Moxley one-on-one for a while. This was planned pre-pandemic. I want to say they were already teasing that. So so that's the match. And I have no problem with that. The match is going to rule. And the way that they got there wound up being kind of predictable, but kind of not, because we'll talk about Kyle O'Reilly as well. But it's one of those things where, okay, Tanahashi, it's clearly going to be Tanahashi. All right. I just can't imagine Goto versus Moxley being the match. But so we're going to get a badass dream match out of that for the title. I think that it was awesome seeing Kyle O'Reilly last night. He's one of my favorite in-ring wrestlers in the world. He was a guy that when he was in NXT, now of course I was a fan of his in Ring of Honor, New Japan previous to that, but when he was in NXT, I was always push Kyle, push him as a singles guy. Red Dragon rules, but there's a ceiling to Red Dragon. As much as, I'm going to sneeze again.
Oh, Jensen with the torn sniffles. There we go.
Try to get that mute in real quick. I know people complain about that sometimes when they listen to the audio if I sneeze or cough or something. I'm trying to get better about that. But yeah, so Kyle, I've always been a big I think Red Dragon has kind of a ceiling. They're a great tag team. They're one of my favorite tag teams ever. But it's kind of, I don't know what the right word is, but you have Adam Cole, who has this Owen belt, and he's on commentary during Hangman's match, and he's main event level guy consistently. You have Kyle O'Reilly, beats most of the roster in this battle royal, goes on to the main event, has this badass match with Jon Moxley, and it's hell yeah, Kyle O'Reilly can hang with the top level guys. There's plans for him. He has a 5-year AEW deal. Tony Khan's got some big singles plans for him, and Bobby Fish is there too. And it's just he had nothing going on. And it isn't anything against Bobby Fish. It's more I've always viewed Kyle and Adam on the same level, and Bobby just a few notches below them. And it's kind of showing right now, because
do not disparage Big Dick Bob Fish. All right,
Hey,
don't
listen.
disparage this man.
What my point though is that like they should not hold Kyle back by having him be too much of a tag team wrestler right now. Like I think Kyle needs a singles run, and he's proven with the Darby match, which was an awesome match, with last night, the entirety of last night for Kyle. They really should push him as a singles guy. Now, for him to tag with Bobby Fish occasionally or even consistently, that's fine. And AEW is really good about having tag team guys also have singles runs parallel to their tag team runs. I'm totally fine. That's probably best case scenario for Kyle, is like you can have him as a part of Red Dragon, and you can have him as a part of the Undisputed Elite. And you can have him doing tag team matches. That's fine, but they need to still be pushing him as a singles guy, I think, because there's a lot of opportunity there, and he's good in the ring with anybody in that company. Like they can have a badass match with him against anybody at any time. So I wanted to really give a shout out to Kyle O'Reilly today too, because I think he's really breaking out as a singles guy for the AEW audience, and I think that's a really good thing. And so you've got a lot of good stuff coming out of this tournament. We're seeing New Japan involvement. We're seeing Moxley. You know, that made sense too, with Moxley being the number one contender, that he didn't have to do the Battle Royal. The one thing that was weird was that Hangman wrestled Dave Finlay instead of being in the Battle Royal. Like, I know that they explained that with him calling out Okada, which that's also badass. Like, that kind of stems from the AEW interim title too. Like, Hangman feels like he needs to go after the IWGP US or IWGP World Championship. So there's just a lot that's come out of this interim title tournament for a lot of different people. So I think it's overall been a really good thing.
The Battle Royal was sort of irritating for me because if you look at the rankings, they love these rankings. Jon Moxley, number one. Sure, he didn't have to do the Battle Royal. Wardlow, okay, they explained that. He said he didn't want to do it because of Punk and he wants to go after the TNT title. Okay. Adam Cole, I know he's hurt, but I guess that was the reason he didn't do it. He's injured. Hangman Page, I guess he called out Okada. Jay Lethal, he was not in the Battle Royal. Those are the top five in these rankings, right? Like they tried to explain
top five right now.
Yes, yeah,
that makes no sense. Okay, yeah.
Marina Shafir is top five in the women's division, and all she does is lose on the main show, but she just wins on Dark. This is why these rankings are just they don't mean anything. Honestly,
that's wild.
They don't. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley are number 2 in the tag team rankings, by the way. But the Young Bucks.
Oh yeah, sorry. What are the Young Bucks at?
Oh, the Young Bucks are 5 and the Hardys are 3, and they're the ones getting the title shots. These rankings, and it makes sense. The Young Bucks, they pinned Jungle Boy. The Hardys beat the Young Bucks at the pay-per-view. Like, I get it, but this is why I just don't put any stock into these rankings, because your 5 top contenders were not in this Battle Royal. I understand number 1 didn't need to be in the Battle Royal, but the others just weren't in this Battle Royal to go after the interim title. And to me, even if you try to explain some of it, it also just doesn't make complete sense to me. And that's why I don't put stock into the rankings. I think they're kind of stupid. Kyle O'Reilly, by the way, quickly on him. I said this when he was still in NXT. He had those banger matches with Finn Balor. I thought they should have put the title on him then coming out of that feud. I thought he should have won that 5-way, that 4-way, whatever they did at that NXT show that Karrion Kross ended up winning. I thought Kyle O'Reilly should have won that. They should have gone with him. He's a great fit in AEW. All he does is have great matches. I'm not sold on him like personality wise. I don't know if he can carry the world title or anything like that. I think for NXT, it would have been fine. For AEW, there's just so many tip-top guys that it's tough to overlook his charisma or his promo skills compared to the other guys. But as far as like in-ring wise goes, all this guy does is have great matches. So, shout out to Kyle O'Reilly. That match with Jon Moxley ruled last night. Moxley's going to win the interim title, I would imagine. I think it'd be sweet if they put it on Tanahashi, but I would imagine that Moxley's going to win the interim title, and then at some point he'll face CM Punk. And look, Moxley, I know it's an interim title. It'll be nice to see him with that belt in front of fans, because pretty much his entire run the first time around was with no fans. He won the title at Revolution, and then like 2 weeks later, pandemic started, and he defended it only Daly's place. And now he'll get an interim title run wear in front of fans. So that'll be at least good to see. And when they do the match with CM Punk, it's gonna be a great match. It'll be a very good match. So, they're trying to make the best out of it. Hopefully Punk isn't out too long. I know he underwent surgery yesterday and everything was good. So hopefully he's not out too long. And if they don't want to use the interim title, Stephen Jensen, if these top 5 guys, Wardlow, Adam Cole, Hangman Page, Jay Lethal, they don't want to go after the world title. If they don't want to go after the TNT title, they can now go after the Mid-Atlantic Championship. All-Atlantic. Sorry. Confusing all my promotions that Tony Khan loves here. They can go after the All-Atlantic Championship. They introduced this new belt last night. They're having a tournament with qualifying matches and then a 4-way match at the pay-per-view. Pac qualified last night. We got Miro and Ethan Page, and we have Malachi and Penta Oscuro qualifying matches coming up. And then we have a New Japan qualifying match, and the winners will all face at Forbidden Door. Do we need another title in AEW? Do we need another singles championship in AEW, Jensen?
No, we don't. Especially if trios titles are coming. I know that's not a singles title, but like I'm usually more of the mindset of like less titles is better. The only thing about so in all honesty, if the TNT title was in a better spot, I might have more reason for wanting the All-Atlantic Championship, but I feel like the TNT title is in like a weird limbo right now too, where like I don't think Scorpio Sky is the best guy to have that belt right now. That's just me personally. And I don't think that Sammy Guevara should either. I think that their back and forth feud has done more to hurt the title than help the title.
Wardlow said as much.
Yeah, true. And I think it's pretty clear Wardlow's going to get that belt next. And maybe they feel like they need to create this All-Atlantic Championship so they can have a belt that like actually there's like actual like doubt of like who's going to win and retain and defend these belts. Because once Wardlow gets that TNT title, like he's not going to lose until maybe it's like a unification with the world title or an option C type scenario for the world title against Punk or something like that. But they're heading towards Wardlow versus Punk eventually. They've made that very clear. But I don't see Wardlow losing to anyone else leading up to that. I do like the kind of the worldwide aspect of the All-Atlantic Championship, how they've highlighted, all the different countries that all these different wrestlers are from, and they're putting together good matchups. Like I like the idea of Penta versus Malachi and Miro versus Ethan Page. I love the idea of Ethan Page just doing something. Like he's been in the background during the whole Scorpio Sky thing where, I think he's just getting the shaft. And he got, I don't know if we talked about this last week or not. I know I talked about it on some podcast, but if I'm Ethan Page, I am furious right now with AEW. I'm pissed. I'm trying to get out of my deal with AEW if I'm Ethan Page, because they're pushed him so far in the background in AEW when like he should be getting highlighted, especially like he doesn't need Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky. He's a great talker, like, and he's great in the ring, and like he's the total package. Like he's fine on his own or with he's in a weird spot in AEW. But what I'd be really pissed off about is everyone and their dog has an AEW action figure coming out, and Ethan Page does not. And he's an action figure collector. He's out there promoting the company, promoting collecting. He's got his YouTube channels, and like this guy's not getting an action figure anytime soon. Like there's wrestlers who have done far less that are getting action figures, and he's not getting one. And so if I'm him, I'm pissed off. Like I'm not gonna lie. He's gonna get destroyed by Miro. Like there's no way he's winning that match. So he's in a real weird spot in AEW in my opinion. I think Pac versus Buddy Matthews was really good. It was like watching that Spider-Man versus Spider-Man meme that you always see where they're like right in front of each other and they look the same. Yeah, exactly. Like it's like that. And I thought that was really good. So I think we're going to get good matches. And I think that a big part of the reason they're doing this is because they want another title belt at Forbidden Door where they could probably do another New Japan versus AEW match. I'm assuming whoever is in the New Japan bracket will probably advance to the finals. They'll have to figure out how to get Malachi out of there though, without hurting him. Cause they've protected him so much, but maybe he wins the whole thing too. That's possible as well. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, I don't feel like they need this title belt in the company. Especially because the TNT title, I think, is in a real weird limbo right now. And, but I do think we're going to get a lot of good matches out of this tournament.
Can Americans challenge for this title? Is this like no?
It's a good
'cause
question.
right now they don't have Americans in this title picture. So is the TNT title for Americans only? And in the words of JR, is the All-Atlantic title just for foreigners? If you ain't American, you're a foreigner, to Jim Ross. So is this title just for foreigners? I would like some clarification on that. I don't know. I don't think they need another belt. To me, they don't just do good stories. I don't want it to become a thing. And this was my issue with WWE for years, is where they couldn't do stories unless they had a title. And the titles just felt like props to advance stories and to tell whatever story they wanted to tell. And I don't want that in AEW. They've proven they can do stories without titles. MJF was a big thing. But they gotta, without these titles, I need something when it comes to these stories, because the women's division, this is the issue right now, is like they ain't telling much stories outside without these titles. And even some of the title stories, whatever they're trying to tell, isn't all that good. So I don't want that to become the issue in the men's division either, of like, hey, everything needs a belt, otherwise we just can't put together anything. Ricky Starks is very tough when it comes to, he's in a tough position when it comes to the FTW title. They're probably doing more with that as a championship, and they're just not doing a whole lot with that. I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing there. I'll let it play out. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt with this championship, but another singles title in the men's division isn't what I was clamoring for, honestly, when they just don't need it. Like they book the men's division for the most part fine. They do their dream matches and stuff. It just seems like that's all it is. Like, hey, let's just do these cool matches. Now there's a title, so it feels like it's extra important. So that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll add by saying like that the FTW championship serves literally no purpose for AEW. Like it's cool to like I'm sure it's cool for Starks to have that belt. And it was a cool kind of prop for Brian Cage when the company started and stuff, with the lineage of that title and the history with ECW and stuff. But like it serves really no purpose on AEW TV, that title belt. And this All-Atlantic thing wasn't on my radar at all. I figured that when they mentioned new titles, I figured like it was going to be the trios belt that they've apparently already made.
Yeah, those are still coming as well. Tony Khan has said when Kenny Omega comes back, that's when at some point they'll get introduced. So you're going to throw trios titles into the mix. Do you introduce women's tag team titles at some point? Like, is everything just going to revolve around various championships? And then if you add too many championships, then you actually do devalue some of these titles, because with the TNT title, that was elevated to like, oh, this is a very important title, especially when Cody had it. Like, this title feels very important. It's taken a hit with the Sammy and Scorpio Sky passing it off and their whole feud. It's taken a hit on there. I do think Scorpio can get it back to a certain level, especially if he's going to feud with Wardlow. We'll see. But I don't know what this All-Atlantic title is going to bring. And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if it's just a title to do the same matches they've been doing, except now there's a title attached. I don't know. I feel like they could do more with they could just keep doing that. Just give me some stories with some of this stuff. I care way more about that, something I can sink my teeth into, than, hey, this match should be important to you because there's a championship on the line. I don't think these titles, at least to me, I'm not a big this title is important kind of thing. The title is only important if the story that I can sink my teeth into is important with that title. If you're just throwing a title into it, it's not important to me. Like, look at all of Charlotte's runs in WWE. Those title runs don't mean anything because their stories suck. There's no actual meat to what she's doing. It's like, hey, here's this title. Okay, cool. I don't care. Give me something that has some meat to it. Put some meat on these belts. Give me the all meaty title. AEW
meaty meat man title.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. And because even in like the Attitude Era, there was a lot of title belts, but there was stories that like even when they had it at a point when it was like the world champion, the IC champion, the European championship, the hardcore championship, the tag title belts, there was still like stories going on. Like, I still remember caring about guys like D'Lo Brown being the European champion, because like I liked his matches and the stories, and like it felt like everyone on the card had something that mattered back then, and there were just title belts that kind of like put an exclamation point on things. But like, no, I'm with you. Without good stories, the titles don't mean anything, and that's why I feel like the WWE title belts are right now are so devalued. And I think the only one that really matters is Roman's, because that's the only story that's interesting outside of what Cody's doing. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's but yeah, I this All-Atlantic Championship came out of the complete blue for me. It's kind of random. I don't really see the point in it, to be completely honest. But hey, I'll let it play out.
There you go. Let it play out. Let's move on to our other spotlights. Mine this week is still kind of in the AEW realm. Hangman Page called out Okada, Kazuchika Okada. He wants the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Adam Cole correctly pointed out, hey, by the time Forbidden Door rolls around, he might not be the champion because he has to face Jay White this Sunday at Dominion. I would put this belt on Jay White. I don't think they're going to do it. I think you can still do Okada and Hangman without this title. Maybe you do some type of tag. I don't know. Maybe do a 4-way with Adam Cole. Maybe do a triple threat. However they handle it, I would put this belt on Jay White, though. I think since he's returned to Japan at Dontaku, and the way that the Bullet Club kind of came back and breathed new life into the Bullet Club, or rebreathed life into the Bullet Club with Jay White, I'd put this title on him and let him run with it. I don't think they're going to do it. I think the Hangman call out almost tips their hand that Okada is going to win. And I don't quite like that. I understand they want to try to get ahead of the Okada Hangman stuff early. I did like that. Adam Cole was like, hey, no, we have to settle this first. I would go with Jay White at Dominion. I think it'd be a great match. But what are your thoughts on who should come out of Dominion as the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion?
Well, at this point, I really do want to see. I mean, I think we're going to get Okada versus Hangman either way at this point too, because otherwise, I don't know why they would have had the call out last night. But I guess it's possible that Jay White could win the title. But then I would want to see Hangman versus Jay White. I want to see Hangman wrestle for the IWGP Championship, because at the end of the day, like if that's the reason in his own promo, if that's the reason he didn't enter the Battle Royal, was because he has his sights set on the IWGP World Championship, then he just doesn't get a title shot at Forbidden Door, then like he just kind of looks stupid. Because like, dude, you gave up a shot at the interim AEW title, and you're not even getting a shot at the IWGP World title. Like, what? You played yourself. You know, I don't think that would be good for Hangman. So I'm assuming that Okada will probably defeat Jay White, and we'll get Okada versus Hangman for the IWGP World Championship at Forbidden Door. But honestly, I mean, if it wound up being Jay White versus Hangman, I remember the two of them having a really good match. It was years ago, but it was in New Japan. And I remember that being one of like, I was writing for Daily DDT back then. It was a long time ago, but I remember writing an article about like Hangman Page's breakout performance being against Jay White in that match. And that was back when I was saying like, that's when I first started seeing Hangman as like a future potential, like main event, big time star in wrestling. And a lot of that had to do with the match that he had with Jay White. So yeah, I'm all for any of the options, but like personally, I would like to see Okada retain over Jay White and then do Okada versus Hangman, because the story is super interesting, and I love the idea of like Rainmaker versus Buckshot Lariat. Like there's a lot that goes into the match that I think just makes it really cool, and I think that there's a chance Hangman could win that. Like I'd imagine Okada would win and retain the belt, but there's still like reasonable doubt that Hangman could pull that off and become the IWGP World Champion, which could open up a whole lot of interesting possibilities. So that's what I want to see personally. Hangman versus Okada, especially since Hangman brought it up yesterday.
I don't think there's a chance in hell Hangman's winning that belt because Moxley's probably going to defeat Tanahashi to win the interim title. I don't think New Japan's losing both the big matches.
Sure. And
that's why they're going to split those. However you frame it, they're going to split those. So I just don't think that Hangman's going to win it. Like those are the two big singles matches right now. I don't know what else they could possibly do. It looks like they're setting up A lot of tag team stuff. I mean, you wanted to talk about Will Osprey. He made an appearance last night, attacking FTR with Aussie Open, FTR and Trent. It seems like that's setting up for a multi-man match, which not what everybody kind of had in mind when they talked about Will Osprey being on Forbidden Door. Not even what Will Osprey had in mind. He's like, yeah, I want to face a homegrown AEW guy. Like give me Jungle Boy, give me Darby, give me these guys that like made their name in AEW. And AEW is like, well, here's FTR and Trent and Rocky in this multi-man match that we're going to do. So I don't, maybe they do something else with Osprey. They've got a couple weeks to try to reframe it. Cause I guess technically you could do, maybe Orange Cassidy is back by then. He's advertised for the dark tapings this week, which makes me believe he's going to wrestle. So I don't know if you do Osprey and Orange Cassidy in a singles bout. It seems more likely we're getting United Empire, which would be Osprey, Aussie Open, Cobb, and Okan. That's 5 against FTR, Trent, Rocky, and Orange Cassidy. That's 5. I don't know where Chuck Taylor fits into that. I don't know where they're going to go with that. But it seems like they're setting up a multi-man match with Osprey.
And they're doing one on Rampage, aren't they? Like a 6-man?
Yeah, they're doing a 6-man on Rampage.
So, yeah, I don't know, but I do think it was really cool to see Will Ospreay on AEW TV. I was literally like, I have a buddy who comes over every Wednesday to watch Dynamite, and I was telling him before the show, I was like, man, it's a shame that like Ospreay is probably just never going to be on AEW because like there's a part of the fan base that really doesn't like him and all this stuff. And then like lo and behold, he shows up that night, and I was like, dude, I can't believe that just happened. Like I was just talking about how unfortunate it is that we'll never get to see this guy in AEW, and here he is. So that was pretty cool. I understand why people have soured on him, but I do and I don't. Like there's a lot of layers to a lot of the stuff that the reasons why people don't like him. I think that he is an exceptional in-ring performer. Exceptional. Like arguably the best in-ring wrestler in the entire world right now. And I want to see him do his thing in AEW. It's wild that he's never really had a platform in the United States before. Like he's pretty much a complete unknown to like the US fan base, like the casual US fan base. The hardcore fan base obviously knows him, but like the casual US fan base for wrestling probably doesn't know a whole lot about him. And they're going to be mind blown when they see this guy wrestle. So yeah, I think it's badass to see him in AEW, and I'm glad we finally got it. And but I do hope it's a singles match at Forbidden Door. But I do think you're right. I think there's a very good chance that it's like a multi-man type match. But I'm hoping we get more Osprey and AEW going forward.
I hope he gets his singles match at Forbidden Door. As like you said, as far as performance-wise, Will Osprey, he's at the tippy top of in-ring performers. As a person, there is a lot that I don't agree with him on, and a lot that seemingly has done that does not make him a very good person. But I don't know the man personally, so just going based off the stories that have been told and some of his actions as well. Your spotlight for the other Stephen Jensen, another injury. Matt Cardona, he's hurt, torn bicep, out up to 5 months. He's got NWA Always Ready this weekend. He says he's going to be there. He was supposed to defend the title against Nick Aldis. Where do you think this is going?
Well, I really don't know, because Nick Aldis is still going to wrestle for the title in the main event, I'd imagine. Or maybe not. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do something where, because like Blake Christian technically wrestled Matt Cardona at GCW and it was like a minute long. I really don't know what they're going to try to do with this. I mean, they were marketing that this was going to be either a cage match or a death match between Cardona and Aldis, and I just don't know what they're going to do. JJ saying Jeff Jarrett's always ready. I mean, it's possible.
He is.
And, you know, Cardona, this is a big part of the spotlight for this week, with me choosing this Cardona stuff, is that, you know, he said, and I called this weeks ago on this show, he said he wants to wrestle Ric Flair and put the NWA World Heavyweight Championship on the line and be that match in the fairgrounds. And once again, I said this like at least a month ago. I was like, it should be Cardona for like all these reasons. And it looks like that might be what we're getting. And, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen this weekend. It's a huge blow to the show if he can't wrestle, though. Which I'm assuming he won't. I mean, he just had surgery, but like, it's a huge blow. I mean, it's the the event is one of his catchphrases. He is the main event. He's the world champion. And I'm sorry to, any NWA wrestlers that might see this or any fans, but like, it's like Cardona's like way up here and like most of the rest of the roster is like way down here as far as like buzz and public perception. And,
they better have a big surprise for this because they're still advertising Cardona. Cardona says he's going to be there. I don't know how they're going to deliver on a match. Like you said, he wrestled Blake Christian at GCW, but he really didn't. I don't think Cardona is going to pull a Cody here, especially because he's already undergone the surgery. So like once you have the surgery, it's a little bit tougher to then go out there and like try to do more. You need to rest and everything, especially less than a week after surgery. It's tough to get back out there and rehab immediately. And it's even tougher to just go out there and wrestle a match less than a week after this kind of surgery. They better have something big because they're still advertising this stuff. And if you deliver with like, here's Nick Aldis versus VSK, here's Nick Aldis versus Tyrus, here's Aldis versus Trevor Murdoch, that ain't gonna buy you any goodwill with the fans. And they don't have the best goodwill in the world anyway, just with everything they've done since the pandemic and reopening, whatnot. I don't know who it's gonna be.
I was going to say, and the way that they finish most of their pay-per-views. People buy these pay-per-views, and the ends of the shows are almost always puzzlingly just terribly booked.
Right. I mean, look, they did the Jeff Jarrett angle last time, and now Jarrett is, I don't know if he's going to return to the company. The greatest worker of all time. He got his money, he did an angle, and now I don't know if he's going to return. Maybe he is the big surprise, and like that's something. I know JJ will pop. Like I'm sure people will pop for that. I don't know if it's Flair. I don't think it's Flair. I wouldn't have it be Flair, but sure, have Flair come in and beat Aldis and win that world title again and then defend it in his last match against whoever, maybe Cardona, but I don't know if Cardona will be ready to do that match. I guess it's still a month and a half away. But I don't know if he'll be ready to do that. I don't know if you bring in EC3, Adam Scherr. Like, I just don't know who you're bringing into the territory that's going to be like, oh yeah, this is the guy that we want here. I don't think maybe Tony Khan helps him out since Dustin. Like, do we think there's a chance that Dustin shows up and, Dustin ends up getting this belt from he beats Aldis? Or if they want to do something that still plays off of like history and it still earns them some goodwill with fans and shows that the relationship with AEW is fine, that'd be my call. Is if you can somehow get Dustin to come in and wrestle Aldis and you put the belt on Dustin, just don't put the belt back on Aldis. But if you put the belt on Dustin, I think that's a cool move. I'm not expecting any of that. I'm just expecting Aldis to just win this and beat somebody that is going to disappoint us all.
Well, I love the idea of Dustin, especially if it's just like straight up like the natural Dustin Rhodes, like no paint and stuff, just him, cowboy style or whatever. Like I love that idea, actually, of him winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. My fear is that this is just what I feel like they might wind up doing, and I really don't like this, but I feel like it's an option they might go with. Aaron Stevens is basically saying this is his retirement match against Trevor Murdoch on the show. And maybe Stevens beats Murdoch, and they make it to where Murdoch versus Stevens, the winner of that wrestles at the end of the show for the title. Because like Murdoch is the former champion who is the whole story since he's lost the title is him getting another title shot and like working his way towards that. Stevens had a shot at the title a while back and couldn't get the job done. But I feel like they might make a story out of the night of like Stevens retiring. So like he beats Murdoch, he goes to the main event, maybe he even beats Aldis and like he wins the NWA championship when we all thought he was retiring or something like that. Or Murdoch beats him and Murdoch winds up in the main event. They do Murdoch versus Aldis again, which I could see them doing too. But I'd much rather have the Dustin option. I think that's an awesome scenario. But I think it's very likely that they just wind up like the winner of Murdoch and Stevens winds up getting a title shot or something.
Kai says Christian. That's a good shout. Christian showing up would be cool. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. Stranger things have happened, but man, your Stevens and Murdoch thing is honestly like one of the more plausible scenarios and one of the more depressing scenarios.
I agree. I agree.
Like, if that's the way it goes, like, I get it. I understand why they would do that, especially if they couldn't work anything else out. But it's like, oh man, like, this is just the state of things where it's like, here's Nick Aldis against Aaron Stevens or Trevor Murdoch in the main event for this show. Just depressing.
Yeah. Yep, I just feel like there's a chance they could do that. And I'll say this. I think that Trevor Murdoch is underrated. Like, I actually like Trevor Murdoch, especially for what the NWA brand is. Like, I think Murdoch's a good fit there. I've never been a big Aaron Stevens fan, especially like the current gimmick and stuff. It's like, it just isn't for me. My favorite stuff he's ever done was like the stunt double type stuff, which was like really way more comedy and really more the Miz being involved with that too. But JJ said it could be Tyrus. It could be. He hasn't lost in a long time, and he's going to be. He'll heart punch. Who's he wrestling? Scion at the pay-per-view, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'll heart punch Scion for sure. But yeah, let's move on because I got about like another 5-6 minutes before I got to clock in for my shoot job.
Indie spotlight this week, both in the realm of GCW. Yours was Tournament of Survival. Drew Parker winning that. We'll kind of group them together here, and Perfect. Mine was Cage of Survival. They were back-to-back nights. Drew Parker winning Tournament of Survival, and like, this man, he had a nasty leg injury the week before. Didn't matter. Still decided to do 3 death matches, including a no ropes barbed wire match in the main event against Matt Tremont. Also wrestled Cole Radrick and Rina Yamashita in the tournament. And another crazy person. Another absolute crazy person, Drew Parker, just going out there wrestling 3 death matches a week after it seemed like, his match had to be stopped because of an injury against Ares. So shout out to Drew Parker for winning Tournament of Survival 7. Yeah,
100%, especially because, and we've grouped this with Cage of Survival, so this is perfect to talk about both. So, the last 3 years straight, Alex Colon has won TOS. So, like, he was the three-peat, and because he was challenging for the Ultraviolent Championship at Cage of Survival against John Wayne Murdoch, he wasn't a part of the tournament. So it opened it up for like a new champion for the first time in 4 years, which is that was cool going into it. And Drew Parker, I mean, he really is one of just the top deathmatch guys in the world. Like, he's been killing it in Japan for a long time. And when he was in the States, I think it was last year, when he beat Alex Colon for the Ultraviolent Championship, and then wound up losing it, and then Colon wound up. I can't remember who Parker lost the belt to though, because I don't think he lost it to Colon, and then Colon won it from someone else. I can't remember. Someone in the chat will know. I can't remember exactly how the title bounced around, because I want to say someone beat Parker for it, and then Colon beat someone else for it. It wasn't Drew Parker. I'm almost positive, but Thank you. But that said, like, the match with Cole Radrick ruled, the match with Yamashita ruled, and the match with Matt Tremont ruled. And Drew Parker, I think he was my favorite to win the whole thing going into it, and he got the job done. And I thought it was just a really, really, really well done. It was a great tournament, and Drew Parker was the right guy to win it. And I love that he's back in the States, because he's a huge asset for GCW when he's in the States.
So Parker won it, and then he lost it to Masashi Takeda.
Takeda, that's right. And then Takeda lost like right away, like within like days, I want to say.
Yeah, he held it for 19 days. Yeah. So
okay.
Very short reign for Takeda. He lost it to Cologne. Like GCW, they're very behind Drew Parker since he returned to the States. He's the guy, for those that don't know, that got the flaming super kick from Joey Janela. So he was in that spot. He was setting up for, I think Janela even said, like, we were setting up something big for him, and then they weren't sure if they maybe had to scrap that. I assume this was the Tournament of Survival victory. They weren't sure if they were going to have to scrap that after the injury against Ares. They clearly didn't. He just wrestled 3 death matches after the injury against Ares. So GCW very behind Drew Parker since he has returned to the States with the Janela match. And I assume they're going to continue to utilize him in a big way moving forward. And then Cage of Survival with Cologne and John Wayne Murdoch. So this was going on at the same time as Hell in a Cell, just before Hell in a Cell, right? So I see all these pictures of them setting it up. It's like part cage, there's light tube ropes, there's glass panes, there's a scaffold ladder on top, just the craziest setup you can imagine. And people are just like, Yeah, Hell in a Cell is tonight, but this is the real hell right here, going through this thing. And then they immediately just start the match on the scaffold ladder, and they're punching and kicking each other, mainly punching, and they're falling off of that through glass panes and light tubes and all of this stuff. The finish is a double stomp through the glass tubes from the top of the cage, followed by a chicken wing camel clutch that Cologne puts them in, and just these men, I'll never understand it, but I have so much respect for them. So many light tubes being used, so casual with the light tubes of just whack. One of them didn't break. He hits him like 3 times with it, and then finally on the third one it breaks. It's like, geez, it's just so many light. They have barbed wire, spider web nets out there. I don't know how fans don't get hurt on this, because one side of the cage there is no cage, like the hard cam side, there is no cage there. This Cage of Survival stuff is crazy. Stephen Jensen.
It is. I love the finish too that you just described, where Cologne goes off the top rope with a double stomp through a bundle of light tubes on the chest of JWM, but then Murdoch kicks out at one, and the people are going nuts, and then he puts him right in that camel clutch, and that's it. But dude, speaking of the fans, this is so funny. There was a deathmatch show a few months back, and it was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So they're like, the wrestlers, I can't remember who was in the match, but there was like a lot of light tubes and glass and stuff like all over the place, and they're fighting through the crowd, and they're hitting each other with light tubes. And so the security is telling the fans to like get out of the way, like, hey, protect yourself, like there's gonna be glass flying all over the place and all this stuff. And everyone gets out of the way except for this one guy who just stands his ground right in front of like these guys just beating the shit out of each other with light tubes. And he had one of those like riot helmet looking mask things, and he like pushed it down in front of his face and just stood there in it. And I was like, this is the craziest fan I've ever seen. Like, there's these two wrestlers hitting each other with light tubes. All the fans are out of the way. There's this one dude wearing like a riot helmet basically in the crowd, just like in it, like, yeah, let's go. Like, so I thought that was so funny. Like, it's funny because like the fans, you want the fans to be safe, but a lot of the fans that go to these shows, like, they want to be in it. Like, they want to be close to the action. They want to get hit by the glass, and they want to get hit by the light tubes and stuff. I mean, they're bloodthirsty fans that this type of stuff feeds their thirst for violence. And there's a market for it, and if there's a market for it, I think it's smart that GCW is doing it. They're filling a niche fan base with this stuff. And this is the biggest deathmatch tournament of the year, in my opinion, anywhere. And Cage of Survival was a huge spectacle in itself. And yeah, shout out to Drew Parker for winning TOS 7, and shout out to Alex Cologne for becoming the Ultraviolent champion once again.
If you love the deathmatch stuff, if you love light tubes, if you love this kind of style of wrestling, and GCW does it exceptionally well, and Cage of Survival, it's a spectacle unto itself. It's not always my cup of tea, but I watched it. I had a blast watching it. I thought it was very fun. And Tournament Survival was very fun too. I can only take so much of the deathmatch stuff, so grouping this all together this weekend would have been a lot for me. I watched it in kind of spaces. It was much more enjoyable for me that way than trying to watch all this back to back to back. Jensen, I know you got to run to your shoot job. Go ahead and plug everything you got to plug.
All right. So Fightful Select Weekender podcast. It's every Sunday, FightfulSelect.com, talking the world of indie wrestling. I doubt we'll do a fight night for UFC this Saturday, but I'll double check about that. But there is UFC 275 this weekend. My boy Glover Teixeira defending the title against Yuri Prohaska. And also Valentina Shevchenko with another big title defense coming up against Talia Santos. Tuesdays, check out Live Rounds with myself and Doug. We do a show on the RVD Tito for Life YouTube channel. We do that at 10 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. And everything else I got going on, just follow me on Twitter, @FightTalk_. Follow me there. I always post links and stuff for the stuff I got going on. And thanks for another great show today, Jeremy. I hope you all enjoy the interview with Baron Black that you're about to hear. And I'll be at Battle Slam on Sunday. I'll be live in the house at Battle Slam. If you're there in Atlanta, Georgia, come by and say hi. I'll be there taking pictures, getting some audio interviews and stuff, and kicking back and enjoying the show. So yeah, see y'all next week.
Jensen, thank you as always. we are going to go to our interview with Baron Black. We talk Battle Slam Fight for Atlanta. We talk video games, a lot of video game talk. I try to get him to bury Jonathan Gresham a couple of times. He does not take my bait. Try to get him to bury a lot of people, I think, actually. But we talk him training wrestlers, different up and coming indie talents and things like that. So we're going to throw it over to Baron Black. This was recorded on Tuesday. This was recorded. No, sorry. We recorded this on Sunday. We actually did a weekend. We did a weekend recording. So we recorded this on Sunday. It's airing now. Here we go. Baron Black here on the Creator Spotlight on the Spotlight.
Welcome to the interview portion of the Spotlight today, right here on the Spotlight, Fightful.com. I'm Stephen Jensen, as always, with Jeremy Lambert, and we are here with a name you know. He is someone you've seen on All Elite Wrestling television. He is one of the masterminds behind Terminus. He's the madman behind all these Battle Slam shows that we got coming up, and the last one that I was at. He's the Emperor, Baron Black. What's up, Baron? Thank you for joining us, man.
I'm doing good. Nothing but preparing for a big summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, full disclosure for people watching this, I've been able to attend the Terminus shows and the first Battle Slam show here in Atlanta. And I can tell y'all firsthand, it's been a hell of an experience, like really, really fun shows, providing something different in the wrestling landscape. And being someone who lives in Atlanta, it gives me something to look forward to now to go to all these shows. Baron, for people who might not be familiar with Battle Slam and or Terminus, kind of tell people what this brand and what this is all about, because Terminus a little bit different than Battle Slam, but both providing like really great shows for the wrestling fans out there.
I think it's painfully obvious that Terminus is different from Battle Slam. Terminus will be returning very soon. Be on the lookout for that. And Battle Slam has curved out a section of his own, bringing together two entities that should have already been collaborating together for years, years ago, but it's finally happening now. And that's the world of hip hop and the hip hop culture and scene and the world of professional wrestling, all under one roof.
Yes. And I got to ask right off the top, or I shouldn't. All right. So first show, we had Pastor Troy, which was huge. You've already announced Little Scrappy is going to be there this weekend. So, like, how did you get Little Scrappy? Because, growing up in Atlanta, I listened to him. I listened to Trillville. I remember seeing those guys live, like, forever ago. And I still love that kind of music. So, like, how did you get Little Scrappy involved in this thing?
It's funny you said Trillville because I don't some people noticed, some people didn't. But that was the one of the themes for Battle Slam Vendetta. It was the instrumental, and I was wondering who was going to peep out and figure out that was Trillville. Never ever. That was the track. Man, I just basically stumbled upon both these guys. I wanted to do Battle Slam. I knew what I wanted to do, and those were the first two people I had in mind. And I made some contacts through people contacted me because there was interest in the city itself for an event like this, because I had gotten contact by certain individuals in the music scene after Terminus 1. So once I was able to put it together, contacted these guys, and these guys were all for it. They're huge wrestling.
Getting Pastor Troy, when I saw that announcement, I was very excited because Vice Versa was like in high school, like that's pretty much one of the tracks I just always listened to. So I know you told the jobber Sean Ross Sapp how they came together and Vice Versa and everything. Now you're dealing with the A team now, not the B team, right, Sean Ross Sapp. But what have you learned from the first show and then going into the second show this weekend? Like, what are the things that, okay, I can improve on this. This worked well. Let's continue this. Like, what did you take away from the first show heading into the second show?
Be prepared to audible. Be prepared to audible. Everything with the first show went very smooth. It's just that we did start a tad bit behind, but it had to do with, some people, more than one individual, coming in a little bit late. So, this time we have stuff and parameters in place for that. So therefore, we won't be starting late like we did last time. But once we started, everything was smooth as butter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's the feedback been like? Because last time we talked was at the event, but now since then, Battle Slam Vendetta has aired, and we've had like the feedback from the fans. What's the feedback been like that you've seen for it, Baron?
The feedback's been outstanding. I don't know if you watched the premiere day when it premiered, but it was a lot of people engaging about Battle Slam online. So I was happy to see that. Everybody wants to see another one. The growth of the social media channels doubled or more. So obviously the first one was something everybody liked what they saw. So it's very going to be exciting for everybody to see this next one, especially when we got, the likes of a legend like Luke Scrappy going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can you let us know, like, will this show be starting off with a musical performance like the last one? Is that something you can tell us? Like, I'm trying to get prepared for being there live. Like, I want to know kind of what I'm going to be seeing.
Nah, I kind of just want to let people show up, experience the vibes. And then when we start off, just, be ready for whatever happens. I don't want to give it away. Anything.
Sure. That's fair. And just for those of you who maybe haven't heard myself and Baron do our interviews up to this point, the Oasis Event Center, I think, has been a great venue for y'all. How did you find that place, and what's your relationship been like with that venue? Because I have to imagine they're pretty happy with how things are going over there.
I just stumbled upon that venue, actually, because it's funny. I had that venue down because the goal was always to try to run multiple venues. So spread around, the success and the word of Battle Slam. And I had that venue on the list, and Battle Slam, Terminus 2, not Battle Slam. Terminus 2 was booked at a different venue, and some problems occurred with that venue. And full disclosure, I can talk about it now. We ran into problems with the venue a week and a half before Terminus 2. So you can just imagine the hair, pulling out my hair and rushing, trying to find another venue. And then I look back at my list. I said, oh, these guys were interested before. Let me see what it's like. And I called him up. He was open. I said, I'll take it. Can I just do a walkthrough? Because I seen it actually 5 months prior. They actually did upgrades in that time. So when I went there, I was like, holy shit. I was like, y'all upgraded everything in here. This is awesome. I'm like, I think we're going to stay here. And the owner wanted to hear that because he like a lot of people still recovering from the pandemic, and he was like, yeah, whatever day y'all want, just let me know. And the rest was history. So now we just at Oasis Event Center, unfortunate, that it happened that way with the other venue, but things happen for a reason, right?
Was it Jonathan Gresham's fault with the Terminus 2, the issues with the venue? Because I watched your interview you did with him and Sean, and he is trying to figure out technology. He's not, you were clowning him, calling him looking like Urkel, trying to figure this stuff out. So was it his fault? He maybe just pressed the wrong button, and then the whole venue thing went up in smoke.
Nah, I mean, I would love to blame it on him and his lack of paying attention to anything tech-wise. But this was strictly nobody's fault but the venue we was dealing with before. So it was really a nerve-wracking thing because we had a whole show set, booked, everything. And we had to find another building within 10 days. That was it. And I pulled it off somehow. So
I'm glad it got sorted out. It sounds like a great venue. I know when I watched the premiere, like it looked very well on Fight. Like it looked very good. So kudos to you for pulling that off. And I look forward to the second show this weekend. When it comes to like in terms of booking talent, we got some people returning, but a lot of new talent as well. And I think for most people, like Private Party is the big one here. Like when it comes to booking talent, what is your thought process and who you're going to book and who you're going to pair up against each other?
my thought process is really I just want to create moments, and I want to create, great wrestling matches. That's really my first and foremost. And then also a priority is for people who actually like the hip hop scene, who love the hip hop scene, who are influenced by the hip hop scene. So some people like Lee Moriarty and Myron Reed and, Leo Rush, people like that. And who also people who want to celebrate the hip hop scene and also is in the wrestling scene. So those are the things I look for. Those are like the top 3-4 things that I look for before putting together a show. But I think matchups that we came up with and the talent came up with, it will always be at Battle Slam. You will always see some new faces and some old faces, just to keep stuff, new and fresh. And because there's a lot of people out there who are influenced by hip hop that are actually professional wrestlers. So I also want to, make sure they get a shot as well and create some interesting matchups, create a great dynamic to where the show never feels stale. It always feels like something new and exciting.
Well, speaking of something new, something I definitely didn't expect to see. I've been following Adam Priest for quite a while, and when he entered to Lemonade by Gucci Mane, that place went nuts. Nobody saw that coming.
Funny part about that is that he was asking me which track to use, and he sent Lemonade and he sent another track, and I was like, I think Lemonade is the one.
Yeah.
I think Lemonade is the one, and then he agreed, and then the rest was history.
It was funny. It was funny watching like AC Mack and those guys who were like in the crowd hanging out during the show, and like they're all like, I think he's gonna blow the speakers out because like the bass in that song was so strong.
And the funny part is, he sent me the track, and then somewhere he found a bass boosted version, and he sent that to me. So I was like, why the fuck? Why did you send us the bass boosted version? You nearly broke everything in the damn arena.
That was so good. It's so unexpected. So something else that I didn't expect, and I wanted to know the feedback on this because I forgot to ask you about this when we were together last. The sound effects, like during the match, like the and all that stuff. Did people like that? Were they indifferent about it? I thought it was funny, like because it was just something different that like kind of highlighted certain parts of the show. But kind of whose idea was that, and like what's the feedback been? Is that something we're going to see going forward? Do you think with the Battle Slam shows?
Any and everything, down to every last detail, is a brainchild of mine when it comes to Battle Slam. Battle Slam is completely something that was in my brain since a child. So everything that happens a part of it, as far as content, anything, it all came from this big ass forehead that you see on your screen. But the sound effects thing was like, those sound effects are really synonymous in the hip hop world, especially on mixtapes and stuff like that during parties, doing live DJ, broadcast over the radio or at the club. You always hear those sound effects. So I was like, I got to incorporate that somehow. And then I came up with the idea of, because sometimes when you play the old wrestling games, Def Jam Vendetta, Def Jam Piper, and Why, sometimes you will hear those sound effects. So I was like, well, I guess we can do it that way and see how it works out. And it worked out pretty damn well because everybody loved it. So
how much of that was influenced from battle rap? Because I watch a lot of battle rap. You hear the sound effects, you hear the Don DeMarco drops. Like how much influence, not only the drops, but just the show in general, like comes from battle rap as well?
A lot. Like anything in hip hop culture, that is very synonymous and popular, I wanted to try to incorporate into the presentation of Battle Slam. So when we seen Max Caster and Myron Reed rap, you heard the sound effects that you normally hear during a battle. So it was great. That turned out really good.
I used to do a battle rap podcast, so I gotta ask, like, how much battle rap do you watch, and like, who are some of your favorites if you watch enough of it?
I don't watch enough. I remember back in the 106 and Park Freestyle Friday days. That was my battle rap days. After that, after that fell off, I kind of just didn't watch battle rap like that. I actually watched a battle rap contest that was actually in Atlanta a few weeks ago. I think it was called March Madness or something like that. I can't remember the name of it or what the league was called, but it's actually a battle rap league that tours and came to Atlanta. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna look at this. I looked at it online. I was like, it's pretty cool. So I don't follow the scene much, so I can't tell you no names of no people or nothing like that. But I am a fan of battle rap. If a battle rap broke out, I'm right in the middle instantly. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so some of these matches I think are like gonna be I don't even know what the match tonight is gonna be, and I think that's kind of the point, right? Like it's a stacked show that I'm seeing here for Fight for Atlanta. And one of the matches that really sticks out to me is the Infantry versus the Russell Twins versus Work Horsemen. I think that's going to be a banger of a tag team match. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on, because I know you're the mastermind behind this. Like, how did this come together? Because I think this is a match that like wrestling fans all need to have their eyes on.
Yeah, it's actually a 4-way.
Who am I missing?
The team
C4. Sorry, Russell Twins C4, Work Horsemen and Infantry. I got you. I missed one there. I apologize.
It's going to be, of course, the Infantry, of course, C4, who are the Prestige Tag Team Champions. The Russell Twins, which is a very talented tag team that recently was on AEW Dark Elevation. And of course, Work Horsemen. I don't think I need to hype them up anymore. So we know who the Work Horsemen are. Yeah, I just wanted to the free for all eliminator, the terminal eliminator match. Those were really something that is a brainchild of mine, and I was like, you know what, I want to up the ante with the 4-way mindset. I want to up the ante with the 4-way concept of the match. So I was like, you know what, why don't we just do a tag eliminator? And that's what was born. I was like, I got to get the 4 badass teams that I know, and I'm gonna see what we could get cooking, what we could get popping. So I came up with the tag team eliminator match, which has basically the same similar rule set. Everything will be explained, of course, during the show. Similar rule set to tag team turmoil, but a little bit different. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one because all these teams are pretty damn dope, to be honest with you. So
now I know a lot of the stylization, the art, it comes from the Def Jam series, the video game series. So who is your character in those games?
My character was definitely DMX. I love D-Mob. That was my guy. I played a little bit with Ludacris. This is just the first game. I'm gonna get to the second. Believe it or not, I played with Manny a little bit. I don't know why. I feel sorry for him. I guess I played with him when I was a child. I don't know why. But yeah, Manny, Buddha, Moses from the first game. That was my guy. That was my guy. Him, Chuckle. I played with way too many people. But who did I pull out when I want to bust some ass? I pulled out DMX. That was my guy. I pulled him.
Yeah. Now, I know you're a big time gamer, Baron. I gotta ask you, what's your favorite video game system of all time? I'm wearing the Nintendo 64 shirt right now, but I want to know what your favorite video game system of all time is.
Man, that's difficult. That's really difficult, man, because that N64, man, it gave me some wonder, but it gave me some wonder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My 007, Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, you know what I'm saying? Donkey Kong Country, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario 64, Mario Kart 64. I can keep going all day, you know what I mean?
No. We can yeah, I love this.
It gave so much, but man, of course, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, WCW NWO World Tour, WCW NWO Revenge. See, you can't play me. I know my shit now. Look, that's I had all that stuff. But 64 will be tied first. And it will be between probably the N64 and maybe PS2. Switch is really getting up there very close.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games that are really up there with the games that I love. You know what I mean? Like Super Mario Odyssey, I love the same way I love in Mario 64. Mario Kart 64, same way I love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You know, Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild. It's like it's almost mirroring each other. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
It's like then we're getting a sequel to it. And one of my favorite franchises right now, Bayonetta, is like that. That's my heart. So I'm finally getting my third sequel. You know what I mean? Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm a real big fan of that. So Switch is kind of coming up there. And of course, PS2. You know, the SmackDown games. The SmackDown versus okay. You already know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very much in a similar wheelhouse when it comes to our taste in video games. Like I grew up on all that stuff. The PS2 has such a near and dear place in my heart as well because there were so many games for that system. Like that it was like a never-ending influx of just always having stuff to play on that system. And I have a Switch as well, and I really like it too for the same reasons you do. It's like having almost updated versions of the games we loved growing up on. So I think that's really cool. Those are your systems because those would be some of my top ones as well for sure.
Yeah,
Jeremy,
definitely.
what about you, man?
I'm not a big Switch fan. Because I play too much sports games, and they don't really have like the sports games that I like on Switch. You can't be playing like 2K and like NH. Go ahead.
You play 2K and what?
Oh, I play 2K. I play NHL. Like I'll play Madden. Like those are about the only games that I play. It's like NBA 2K and NHL are like the only games that I play. And 2K on the Switch ain't 2K on the PS5. It's just a lot different experience.
Wait. 2K on the Switch is actually a pretty damn good game. That's the only good sports game. I bought the first one.
I have it on the Switch. Like it's not bad, but it's a different experience on the PS5. It's a much different experience.
Oh yeah, I mean PS5, yeah. Okay, that's a little bit of a difference. But I was actually shocked. I actually was shocked. Well, I wasn't too shocked, but I was actually shocked how well they got that game on the Switch. You know what I mean? So I was like, I bought it every time. I was like, that's really the only sports game worth buying on the Switch is official sports game. I don't know how MLB is. I didn't try it out yet, but NBA 2K definitely.
See, though, like they're not bad on the Switch, but then you play it on the PS5, and it's like, oh yeah, this is just a much different experience. And I like to play my console. I have kids. The kids love the Switch. That's all they play. They play the Pokemon and the Legend of Zelda and the Mario games. So I'll play that with them. And they beat me so bad that I just give up and I don't like playing with them because I'm not good at them. And then they talk that trash, and then I sulk in a corner because they just beat me so bad at them.
Okay, hold on. We can't gloss right past this. Baron, who's your favorite Pokemon?
I'm so turned off by Pokemon right now.
Really? I saw you tweeting about. That's why I was asking.
Huh?
I saw you tweeting about Pokemon the other day. That's why I asked.
You're instigating right now. That's why. I'm so turned off by Pokemon, man. I don't even want to talk about it for so long.
Okay.
Like for a franchise it's such a generational franchise. You know, so many generations are into it because it lasts that long. And I'm like, at this point, it should be a certain expectation level of experience that we should be getting. And it ain't hitting that for me. So the last one I bought was Sword and Shield. I regretted buying Sword and Shield. So I'm officially done for a while. You know what I mean? And my favorite Pokemon, I'm gonna keep it real old school. You know what I mean? Like Pidgeotto was my favorite Pokemon. So every time I bought a Pokemon game, I always got me a Pidgey. I always beat them up like a motherfucker. So that was my Pokemon, man. So, but right now,
Pokemon ended after 150 or 151, I guess. Like once they went past that, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done with this. Too many to keep track of. Can't do it anymore.
It was way too many to keep track of. That was one of the problems. But the games never really took that evolution leap that it should. So that was my main issue.
I've heard Arceus is good. I've played a little bit with the kids. The oldest loves it. He's big into Pokemon, so he thinks Arceus is like the greatest game ever. But he doesn't have the experience like we have of playing on the little Game Boy and walking around. Like he doesn't understand that what we had to go through of like these little characters trying to find everything. Arceus is big open world stuff that he thinks is great. So maybe if you like the open world stuff, Arceus, maybe give it a try. Maybe it'll bring you back in, Baron.
See, what we had to go through was the generation, right, of the link cables, like linking up your Game Boy with someone else's Game Boy so you could transfer Pokemon from Game Boy to Game Boy. And I thought like that, like the technology wasn't ever gonna get past that. Like I was like, this is peak right here. But yeah, some good times. Man, I could talk about video games all day with you, Baron, but I do want to ask you another question about this Battle Slam fight for ATL card. Tasha Steelz, Queen Aminata. That is a great matchup. I think the Queen is still flying a little under the radar. Like I think she could be like massive star in wrestling, and I think that Atlanta always shows up for her. And Tasha Steelz, of course, Impact Knockouts champion, one of the top in the game right now. How does it feel that you were able to put this match together? Because I think this is an awesome matchup.
It felt good. I had it in the back of my mind for a minute. Because I knew Queen Aminata was going to be with us for a while. She was, she was supposed to be at the first tournament show, but she was injured. So she ended up debuting on the second one. So I knew she was going to be, with us for a while. That's what she wanted to do. And I was like, well, I want to hopefully get to a matchup that will be big, have her, be at a few shows, and then we're going to hit a big matchup. And then, I was thinking about Tasha. I knew Tasha for a while. You know what I mean? We both used to be around Ring of Honor back in the day, trying to break in. So it's cool to see where she landed and where I landed now. So I always had her in mind because I always thought she was really good. And so when the opportunity finally presented itself, finally, contacted her, and she was like, yeah, I'm game. I'm like, yes, I'm going to be able to do this, and this is going to be one of probably the best women's matches of the year. Most definitely.
I'm gonna get you out of here on this, Baron. What's the coolest thing, either in your room or in your house?
The coolest
thing you have in your the coolest.
We ask everybody. We ask everyone. Yes. This is a running thing on the show. So I know you got cool stuff, man. You're a gamer. You're a wrestling fan. You're a hip hop fan. You gotta have something cool in there.
I don't really call it cool because everybody has a game console these days, so you can't really. And I got 4 of them. The coolest thing, I don't know. I guess I can say I have this giant-sized Vegeta figure that's sitting on my entertainment system, right next to my game console. I'm a big Vegeta fan, so so I have this like cool, Super Saiyan God Vegeta. It looks really cool, and I have him watching over all my consoles, so none of them Toy Story, toys fuck with it,
yes. You never know when you're not looking and not around. Those toys might start moving around at each other and cause some problems. I did want to ask you as well. I know that you're training wrestlers, and how's your experience been like with the training process of like helping develop other talent? And is there any names out there that maybe aren't so well known now that like you want to throw out there to keep your eyes out for in the future?
I do help train other wrestlers. I have certain wrestlers that are that I'm pretty close with. We train every week over at the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta. So but one of the names I probably could say is Shoot Taylor. That's my guy there. So I know he surprised a lot of people at the last Battle Slam show. So I was really happy with how he turned out, and hopefully they they get to see what he can do even more on this next Battle Slam show. So that will be one of the first things. There's other names that that I will disclose later. But yeah, I think the talent that you're going to see pop up this year, coming, that I deal with, or coming from Nightmare Factory, going to surprise. We got some real potential and talented folks that are going to pop out on this thing very well.
Looking forward to it. I love what you are doing there at the Nightmare Factory. So much good talent coming out of there. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to see.
Baron, we appreciate you joining us. Any last plugs? Let everybody know where they can find you out on social media. Let everyone know how to check out Battle Slam this weekend.
All right. So Battle Slam this weekend, as you already know, by the time you watch this, we'll be streaming live on Fight at 7 p.m. Sunday, June 12th.
Let's go.
So,
all right.
To watch it live for the first time. And I hope you all tune in because it's a banging card, number one, from top to bottom. And there's some nice little surprises in store for you. So if you enjoyed the first one, come out, pick up the live pay-per-view on Fight TV. If you enjoy Terminus 2, come out or pick up the live pay-per-view on Fight TV. I promise you, this is going to be one of the best shows in the history of Atlanta professional wrestling.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there live, everyone. I'll be there live. I'll take pictures. I'll get some interviews for y'all. I mean, I'm super pumped. I mean, Private Party versus Casey Navarro and Myron Reed could be a match of the year. Leon Ruff versus Dante Martin could be a match of the year. I mean, there is just banger after banger. Baron, have you announced your match yet? Are you going to be wrestling, or are you still waiting on that one? Or do you want to tell us?
It has not been announced, but by the time this airs, it will be announced.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep you in suspense. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Guys, check it out. Again, Baron just said it. It's streaming live on Fight TV, June 12th, 7 p.m. Support Battle Slam. Support everything Baron is doing with that, with Terminus, with AEW. We appreciate him joining us today. Follow him on social media, on Twitter, at the Impra. He's probably yelling at Jonathan Gresham about something. We appreciate it, Baron. Again, thank you again. We'll be right back here on the Spotlight. Guys, again, Baron Black, his match was announced. He'll be facing Zenshi at Battle Slam on June 12th. We appreciate Baron coming on, doing the show, doing the interview with us. We will have coverage of Battle Slam on June 12th. We'll have some articles running. We've already got one up running from the interview we just did with Baron Black. And thanks to Baron Black, everyone check out Battle Slam on June 12th, live on Fight TV. Guys, we appreciate everyone joining us here today on the Spotlight. Jensen and I will be back next week talking all things professional wrestling from WWE, AEW, the independents, other big companies like NWA, New Japan, MLW, maybe, probably not, but maybe, you never know. As again, thank you. Everyone can head over to Fightful Overbooked. We got a bunch of cool stuff going up there. Day After Dynamite is live later this afternoon with Will Washington and a special guest. We'll see if I do a run-in on that show and talk to my vacation plans with Will Washington. We'll see. I gotta nail down some vacation plans with Will. Yeah, thanks, guys. Head over to Fightful Overbooked. Go support, go subscribe. I just put a video up investigating the wizardry claims of Chris Jericho. Everyone can check that out. Guys, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll see y'all